thing we're gonna do is to do a collar on this. Now I've made a cardigan just before this with the same pattern that I've got here. Well, it's slightly different, but I was going to show it to you. So this one, it's not quite finished, but it does have a hood rather than a collar. Okay, so what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna do a collar on mine. However, I'm gonna just talk you through on how you can actually do the hood if you prefer to have a hood on yours. I'm gonna leave pictures of both the hooded cardigan and the collar cardigan as well, so you can choose which one you prefer, but that's definitely an option for you, and you can do what you prefer to do really. So both the collar and the hood will start with the same row, and I'm gonna use my different color yarn for my collar. Again, this is totally up to you. You can use the same, or you might choose to use different color, whatever it is. Go ahead and make that first chain like so. Insert your hook into that first chain of your work and just pull up that loop and chain one. Now this first row of your collar or the hood will consist of single crochets. This is the row where we're going to do a little bit of a decrease, because we want this neckline to be a little bit tighter, because at the moment it looks very wide, so it's not going to sit very nicely. So this is the first row, and it's exactly the same. Oh, I just pulled my yarn a little bit, that's okay. And let's begin. So I'm just going to do it again, just pull it there and do chain one. I'm just going to tie these ends together so I don't pull them anymore. I'm not doing a knot or anything, just like little tie them in. So we're going to do our first single crochet into that first chain there. Oops. Into the first chain. So go ahead and do a single crochet, and you're going to do single crochets all around this part until you get to the V-stitch. Once you get to the V-stitch, I'm going to meet you there, and then we're going to do the first lot of decrease at the V-stitch. I'm coming close to the V-stitch, so I've got one more single crochet to do, and now I've got a chain just before the V-stitch, and then it's the V-stitch. So what we'll do is we'll do single crochet 3 together here. How we're going to do it, I'm going to insert my hook into that chain, yarn over, pull up a loop. Then rather than finishing this single crochet, I'm going to insert my hook into the next one, pull up a loop. I've got 3 loops on my hook, and I'm going to do that one more time in the chain next to it, and I've got 4 loops on my hook. I'm going to yarn over and pull through all 4, and I'm going to continue with my single crochets. Now one thing I'm going to mention is you're going to be doing 3 together every time you come to a V-stitch. So you're going to be doing single crochets 3 together on that next V-stitch. After the next V-stitch, you do have the back part. So this is the part of the back. We're going to need to lift this a little bit, because our hood and our collar will need to be a little bit lifted up. So on the back part only, you're going to do double crochets. So you're going to do single crochets on until that V-stitch, single crochets 3 together. Then you're going to do double crochets On the next V-stitch, you're going to do single crochets 3 together and continue with single crochets, and go ahead and do that, and I'm going to meet you once we're at the end of that row. We're going to finish that row together and we're going to start row number 2. So I'm coming to the end of row 1. I've only got about 4 stitches left, so I'm gonna go ahead and do the last single crochets for row number 1. I'm gonna chain 1, and row number 2 will be slightly different depending on whether you're doing the collar or if you're doing the hood. It's still going to be a row of decrease. However, if you're doing the collar, we're going to do a row same decrease like we've done on row number 1 in the V stitches and at the middle there, but we're going to do single crochets all around, even at the back. Okay, so it's going to be a row of decrease, the same as row 1, but single crochets. If you're doing a hood, you're going to do a row of decrease but with double crochets. So it's going to be the same decrease on the V stitches, but it's going to be with the double crochets. Okay, so if you're doing a collar, follow me. If you're doing the hood, go ahead and do row number 2 with double crochets and decrease on the same places that we've done on the previous row. Okay, so go ahead, start row number 2, and I'm going to meet you once we're at the end of row 2, and we're going to start row 3 together. For a moment I thought I lost my stitch marker, but it was here all along. I'm coming towards the end of row 2 and I've got 3 more stitches to do, so I'm just gonna remove my stitch marker actually and finish it with a single crochet at the end. Okay, I'm gonna chain 2 this time, and I'm gonna just pull my yarn so I can show you what we've done so far. So this is a collar, and well, the starting of the collar. As you can see, our neckline has decreased quite a bit, I feel, and this is what we need. Okay, now if you are making the hood, what you'll need to do for row number 3 is continue with your pattern. So you've done double crochet, you're going to be doing the front post double crochets next, so make sure that you follow the pattern that we've been doing all through our work. So I'm again gonna give you some of the dimensions for the hood, for example. Okay, so these are the height for the hood, so depending on the age you're making. So for example, if you're making this cardigan for 2 to 3 years old, your hood height should be around 27 centimeters. Okay, so keep on going with your hood until you have the desired height of your hood, and I'm gonna just show you how to then tie it up. If you're doing the collar, stay with me because that's what I'm doing, and we're gonna continue with row number 3. If you are doing the collar, the next step for us is to do the row of increases. Now you might go, oh my gosh, what is going on? We've just done decrease, now we're doing increase. This is all crazy. But the reason why we're going to be doing the increases is because we want the collar to sit very nicely on top of our work. Now when the collar comes on top, it needs to be bigger for it to be sitting very nicely on top of our work. Okay, and that's why we need to do the increases. So our collar is going to start turning outwards from here. okay, like so. Now I have counted my stitches, so for row 2 I've got 60 stitches. So now we need to work out how many increases do we actually need. As a general guidance, I do increases at each corner. It used to be the V-stitch before we did it, but as a general rule, at each corner. And where the sleeves are, I tend to do an increase there, and on the back as well. I don't tend to do that many increases at the front there, because the front will sit nicely once we've done an increase in the corner there. Now you might say, well, how many increases do I need? Now this will all depend on the size of your cardigan. Okay, if you've got roughly the same cardigan as me, you can follow what I'm doing. But I'm going to be looking at putting anything in between sort of 12 to maybe 16 increases, because I want that collar to sit very nicely on top. If your collar is not big enough, then when it turns outwards to sit on your work, it's not going to be sitting very nicely. Okay, so you want something that is big enough to sit on top. So if I'm going to increase in each corner, that's going to give me another 4. And then I'm going to be looking at increasing twice at the side. So that's going to give me turn to another 4, which is 68. Okay, now remember when we spoke about earlier, for the collar you need 4 plus 2. So 68 is very much divisible by 4, I believe, which means I need to find another 2, so the 2 can go on the back. I don't feel having 2 increases on the back is enough, which means that I need to find another 4 increases. So what I was thinking of doing, maybe having 4 in the back, 2 on each side, 4 in the corners, and maybe 1 in the front, very close to the V-stitch. I think they're gonna be evenly spaced out then. You can actually space them evenly all across the row, but that's totally up to you. So if you want them to be evenly spaced, you can find, for example, if you're gonna be increasing by, let's just say, I don't know, 14, you might want to see how many stitches you're going to need in between for each one in order to increase by 14. Or you might do what I do and just, as a general rule, put them on the corners, 2 on the sides, and then work out where the rest are going to go. And again, you can space them out evenly. Okay, but that's what I'm going to do. So yes, let's keep on crocheting. So this is row number 3. This is the row of increase, and again you can actually use stitch markers to see where the increase is going to be. So I'm going to do one at the V-stitch, and I'm going to do another one 3 stitches away from it, so here as well. You will, whatever you do on this first section until the second V-stitch, you need to mirror that and do exactly the same on the other side, because you want them to be the same. For the collar, the chain 2 will count as a double crochet, so go ahead and put a stitch marker there, because there's nothing worse than missing your original chain 2, which count as double crochet, and then your work start getting smaller. I've done that a few times and I've regretted it, so put a stitch marker there and keep crocheting. So we are going to do double crochets for row number 3, but please remember to do your increases. For this row I will be making 14 increase. That's going to give me 74 stitches, which will be perfect for my pattern, which is going to be 4 plus 2. Okay, so keep crocheting. I'm coming to my first increase, and I'm just going to show you how we're going to achieve our increase. Okay, so that's going to be 1, 2, 3, one more double crochet and an increase. So I'm going to do double crochet, and then to increase we're going to put another double crochet into that same stitch, and that's all there is to it. Okay, so let's do that again. Let's come to that corner where we're going to do another increase. Okay, so one double crochet in that corner, and don't chain one or anything like that, just do another double crochet into that same stitch, and that's it. That's all there is to it. So keep going with this row of increase, and I'm just quickly going to show you. So this collar is going to go downwards like this. That's why you need it to be bigger. Okay, so keep on going with a row of increases, and I'm going to meet you once you come to the end of that row, and we're going to start on row number 4 together. I'm coming at the end of row 3. All I need to do is to do my last 2 stitches of double crochets. I'm going to take my stitch marker off, and I'm going to place a double crochet into that last stitch, and I'm going to chain 2. You go ahead and do the same, and let's turn our work. And this is the fun part, guys. What we'll do is we're going to start making the pattern for our collar. Remember that our collar is going to lie on top of our work like so, which makes the inside the right side for the collar. And what we'll do is we'll make a beautiful ridges that's going to match our sleeves, but we're going to do them slightly differently. So they're all going to pretty much look the same, but we're going to have 2 front posts and 2 back posts, 2 sort of normal crochets, normal double crochets. So we're going to start and end our work with 2 normal double crochets. Remember, the chain 2 actually counts as a double crochet for the collar. So I'm just going to place a stitch marker there. Okay, and we're going to do another double crochet next to it. Okay, so we're going to end our work, and we're going to start our work with 2 double crochets, just a normal double crochet. Next we're going to do 2 front post double crochet. So go ahead and make 2 front post double crochets. And just grab a little bit more yarn. Next we're going to do 2 normal double crochets next to it, and then we're going to make 2 front post double crochet, front post double crochets. And this is the pattern that you're going to be following all across this row. I'm coming to the end of row 4. I've got 2 stitches left, so I'm going to finish row 4 with normal double crochets into each one of those stitches. Remember, the first one was that chain 2, so you do need to put a normal double crochet into that chain 2, and again we're going to chain 2 to start a row number 5. Okay, pull your work for a little bit, and what I would like you guys to do is just to lay your work on your table and have a look a little bit if your collar is actually gonna lie on top of the work nicely, like so. you would want those two ends to come together like so, and you would want your collar to lie flush like that. Now if your collar, for example, pulls on your work like this, it means that you haven't added enough increase. I would suggest to maybe take out that row and add some more increases, because that's going to make your work better. It's going to look better. So have a look and check. It's better to check it now and to make any corrections than to actually do your collar and find out, well, actually I need to do some more increases then. Okay, so the next row is gonna form the pattern row, so that the collar is really much work on a 2-row pattern repeat. So we're gonna count the chain 2 as double crochet, which means that in the next stage we're gonna make another double crochet. Remember, we are starting and ending the rows with a double crochet. I'm gonna put the stitch marker in my chain 2. And for this row, we're gonna follow the same pattern as the previous, which means that instead of front post double crochets, we're going to be making back post double crochets in the same stitches as the front post from the previous row. So that's going to be a back post, and I'm going to make another back post. So 2 normal double crochets, 2 back post double crochets. This is the pattern that we're going to follow for row 5, and now you've got the 2-row repeat, and go ahead, make your collar. Remember, your collar can be any size that you want it to be. It is your cardigan, so you decide. You might want it to be shorter, you might want it to be longer. It is totally up to you. Okay everybody, as you can see, I have finished my collar. I have cut my yarn. I just need to tie in this end. But this is, I really like this size collar, so I'm not gonna keep on going. Again, if you like your collar to be a little bit bigger, you might continue with the rows there. Please be mindful that if you want to do bigger collar, you need to do more increases, because the bigger it is, you're just gonna need to be a little bit bigger. But I don't think it's gonna be a problem. It lies very nicely on the back as well. So this is the time to, again, have a look at your collar and decide if this is the size that you like, or maybe you want it to be a little bit bigger. Now that we've got the collar, we need to do the border down our cardigan, and this is where we're going to do our button openings and sewn in the buttons afterwards. Okay, so we're going to start on the right side. I like my button openings to be on my right side, so I'm going to show you how to do that. The left side is going to be exactly the same, but it's not going to have the button openings. Okay, so again, get your yarn ready, and let's do the border together. We're going to start our border at the bottom of our cardigan over here in this first chain. Now I will want to have my border with the same color that I finished the collar and the sleeves. However, I'm not going to start my border with that color. What I'm going to do instead is I'm going to start it with my original color, which is the same as the body of my cardigan, and I'm going to do slip stitches all across this side. And then on the second row, I'm going to swap it for my different color, and I'm going to start the border of half double crochets. The reason why I'm going to do that is because if I use my different color for the border now, going in between these rows here, we are not going to get a clean line. So you will see some of them are going to be more towards the inside, some of them are going to be more for the outside, so it's not going to be a very clean line. But if I do slip stitches and then change the color, we're going to have a nice straight line where the colors are changing. Now, if you would like your border to be the same color as your original cardigan and the body of the cardigan, then by all means start the border now, which is going to be just half double crochets going across, well, up on this side. Okay, so to start our border, we're just going to make our first chain like so. We're going to insert our hook into this first chain, and we're going to pull up that loop, and we're going to chain one. Now, while I'm doing my border, I'm going to tie in these two tails as well. So I'm just gonna, before I do it, I'm just gonna make sure that they're all nice and tied there. I'm gonna do a little, tie them in like that, because sometimes I pull on it and they sort of run off on me. Okay, and we're gonna do slip stitches. The way we're gonna do it is we're gonna insert our hook into that row. Okay, pull through and then slip stitch. Now you can actually put a stitch marker there, because that's going to be easier when we go back and start on the next row, and keep on going until the end of this row. So I've done my slip stitches all across, and I just wanted to show you guys that this is very much straight now, so I can build on this with my different color. If I was going to do it when it was like this, it would be like a zigzag sort of thing, so it wouldn't be a good look. But once you've got a straight line like this, you can then change the color, and I find that it's much better. Okay, so let's finish our work. So we're going to do the last slip stitch into this first stitch here, but rather than taking our original yarn or the main color, if you're swapping colors, then this is a good time to swap to the other color. So how you're gonna do it, you're just gonna make that original chain or the first chain like so. Just make sure you pull, and instead of that first color, you're gonna pick up the second one and do the slip stitch and chain one. So this is a good time to actually cut our yarn there, and as I've done before, I'm just going to give it like a little knot here. I'm not tying lots of knots, it's just literally just one. And let's do our border now. Well, we've started doing it, but if you're not changing colors, this is how you're going to start your border. If you are, this is row 2. So let's turn on our work. And next thing is we're going to do a row of half double crochets. So you're going to find where we did the slip stitch there. I'm going to do half double crochets. Another thing that I sort of forgot to mention to you guys is, if you find that once you've done the first row of border, your work is stretching like this, or it's tying in together like this, it means that your border is not right. I have done about 3 in between the pattern row and 1 when we had the half double crochets, but it just depends on your crocheting style. Okay, so this is row number 2 of our border. I'm coming towards the end of that row. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to finish it. Please make sure that you're in that slip stitch, or the one loop from the slip stitch from the row before. I'm going to go ahead and take my stitch marker, and I'm going to just finish, just going to finish this row. Oh, this is a bit tight. Okay, I think we can do it. And we're going to chain one and turn our work. Next thing we're going to do is we have to work out where our buttons are going to go on our cardigan. Now this is going to be totally up to you. I'm going to aim to place one button right at the top, so this is where I'm going to make a button opening just at the top, and then I'm actually thinking of doing every second row of pattern. So let's just see. I've got my button, so this is the row, the row number 3 is the one where we have to make the button openings. So it's a good idea to just place the buttons where you would like them to go. So I was thinking one right at the top there, then I might have one just here, and then another one sort of here, and I might actually have one more, so I'm gonna have 4, I think. Yeah, that would be a good idea. So I'm thinking to have my buttons like this. So it's also a good idea to maybe put stitch markers where you want your buttons to be, but also just count how many stitches are in between, because you want the same number of stitches in between all of those. And yeah, let's continue with this row, and I'm going to show you how to do the button openings as well. I'm coming to my first section where I want my button opening to be. I've got one more chain left, so I'm going to go ahead and put half double crochet there, and then I'm going to chain one. I'm going to skip this stitch where I want my opening to be, and I'm going to put half double crochet in the stitch next to it, like so. I'm just going to pop in another one next to it so I can show you, and that's our button opening right there. You can actually get your buttons now, and it's quite a good practice to do so and just try it out if it's working. If you have buttons that are quite large, what you need to do is to chain 2 and skip 2 chains, and then keep on crocheting. So it all depends on your buttons, but as a general rule for any children's cardigans and things like that, the buttons are a little bit smaller, so chaining 1 makes sense. So there we have it. Okay, so keep crocheting. Please make sure that you do all the button openings. So I've sort of marked where I want mine to be, and what I'll do is I'll meet you at the end of that row, and then we're going to start row 3 together. I'm at the end of row 3 for my border. I'm up to the stitch marker. This is where I'm going to do my last button opening. I've already chained 1. Okay, so I'm going to chain 1, and I'm going to put a half double crochet in that last stitch there, and I'm going to chain 1. So we're going to turn our work now, but I want to show you a couple of sort of last rows, if you like, that you can do for your border, and it just depends what you are after really from your work. So if you're doing a very girly cardigan, I would suggest the following border. Okay, so you're gonna put a single crochet, chain 2, and then another single crochet in the next stitch, chain 2, and then single crochet in the following stitch, chain 2, then another single crochet, and so on. So this is one option definitely for a more sort of like a girly border, if you like, because it's gonna have a bit of a frill, if you like. So I'm gonna do a couple more just to show you what that's gonna look like at the end. So chain, so single crochet, chain 2, and then single crochet, and so on. I'm gonna pull my yarn here and show you what that looks like. So here you go. So it's gonna have like a little bit of a frill. The button is gonna be there, and if you put it against the other side, it's gonna look a bit like this. So if you want a little bit of a frill, you can do this. So this is certainly one option. If you wanted to have a little bit more of a frill there, you can actually chain 3, and that's gonna give you bigger frills. So that's one option. If you would like your work to be a little bit more sharp and a little bit more crisp, you're gonna do the next row with half double crochets, and that's what I'm gonna do. So you've got 2 options there. You can pick whichever one you fancy doing. So I'm gonna do the half double crochets all down this row, and we're gonna finish this side, and we're gonna start on the next one. Now, before you start the next side, what I would suggest for you guys to do is to just count how many stitches you've done on this side. You're gonna repeat that on the other side, so you're gonna have to have the same amount of stitches, and you're gonna do the slip stitch if that's what you did on the other side, and you're gonna do 2 rows of half double crochets, and it's not going to be 3, it's going to be 2, but without button openings, because this is where your buttons are going to go. So this side you're not going to be able to see it, because the other side is just going to go on top of that. So keep on doing your border on this side with the button openings up. Once you finish that, you're going to do exactly the same border on the other side, but with 2 rows of half double crochets instead of 3. And I'm going to meet you once you've done the 2 borders, and we're going to do a little bit of a thing for the back of our cardigan, but I'm going to show you that once we finish our border. As you can see, I've done the sort of like the belt, or half a belt, I don't know what you call this back bit, and I've put 2 buttons in there. I think it looks fab, and that is our jacket all complete. I don't know about you guys, but I absolutely love it. It's thick, it's warm, it's just easy to make, and I think it looks great. I hope you enjoyed this project. I hope you enjoyed making this, and I hope you like the different adaptations and things that you can do, and that's pretty much it. Now it's time for the end results, and if you did like my video, please give it a thumbs up. It really helps my channel. Thinking about subscribing so you don't miss any future uploads. Hope you guys have a lovely day, and I'll see you soon. Bye bye.